Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back to episode number 11. Yes, I can't believe we've been doing this for 11 episodes. We're almost one third of the way done with my 31 Days of Horror series, which I thank you so much for watching all the videos that we've seen so far. And like I said before, it's just the tip of the iceberg, so stay along for what I'm coming up for the next. For this episode, for episode number 11, we're going to be tackling the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. A franchise that by by popular demand. I mean, me being a Texan, of course, I was going to be talking about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre and a bit something different about this franchise. If you kind of be noticing in my previous videos, I've been kind of talking kind of good stuff, some of the bad movies, and some of the franchises I've done, like the Chucky or even something like I did previously from the Carrie franchise. When there's the one film that I really don't like, but I always talk good things about it. In this franchise, there's some movies that I don't like for many reasons. I'm talking about a bit. Just so stay tuned for that. We have 9 films in this franchise, so you know what? It's gonna be a longer ride, and for this one, you're gonna see me probably rant a bit more than actually giving good positive reviews because some of these films they're so fucking bad, like god awful bad. Which it just get into the rank them all. So at number 9, at the very bottom of the barrel, no fucking surprise, Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. One of those films that I to this day I have no fucking idea why this movie was made. Everything about it is so horrible. The casting, I mean, the only good thing about this is that Matthew McConaughey was in this film, a young Matthew McConaughey, but the rest of this film is so god awful. The casting, the story in general is like, what the fuck are you trying to do with Tech? And also Leatherface, I was like, I didn't honestly. I feel this was this feel like a fucking parody of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise at this point. I feel like fucking something kind of a scary movie film, but my god, this movie's god awful, like so uninspiring and so fucking boring that I don't know why people. And there are people, I have not yet met anybody who has said that they like the film. If you like this film, please let me know down in the comments because I want to know what you find interesting about this film. But I don't give a rat's ass about this film. At number 8, we have Leatherface: The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. Again, another film that I really didn't like, but at least this one, it was a bit better. Not by a lot, to be honest. Not by a long shot. I mean, this one at least wasn't as boring or unentertaining as the as of course Next Generation. I felt that this film was kind of more. I mean, it was still boring, but it didn't at least it didn't make me go to close my fucking eyes. At least made me want to watch even more. But again, same thing about Texas Chainsaw Next Generation. I really didn't feel the thrill of the Chainsaw Massacre franchise. It's one of those films that there's a reason why I haven't seen it in a long time, and just one of those films that just always goes whoop, up on my head. And there's a fucking reason why. So at number 8, Leatherface: Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3. At number 7, we have Texas Chainsaw 3D. Now, this is the only Texas Chainsaw film I have seen in theaters. I remember like it was yesterday. I remember me and my dad. I think this was around 2013 when it came out. I don't remember the date. And my dad and I were at home, and he was like, "What's in the theater?" So I told him, "Oh, there's a new Texas Chainsaw movie, and in 3D." Of course, we didn't see it in 3D, but he was like, "Oh, let's just go see it." Out of curiosity, being a fan of the Texas Chainsaw franchise, so I was like, I gotta go see it. And this was supposed to be a sequel to the original, ignoring kind of the events of part 2 and the rest of the god awful films, which I just mentioned. And at the beginning, the film at the beginning seemed like it was getting some success, but as the film went on, I could kind of tell the consistency of the film was kind of odd because from 1974 to 2014, that's almost 40. That's like 40 years. That's not exactly. That is 40 years exact. And then the main character of this film, she's the little baby that was there, and then they make her like she's this 25-year-old. I'm like, aren't you supposed to be in your 40s already? So what the fuck with that? Not only that, finding out that she is related to Leatherface, kind of making Leatherface more of an anti-hero, which it's kind of odd thinking of a Leatherface as an anti-hero, or even the main character or main protagonist of this film, because it's fucking Leatherface. He's supposed to be the one fucking chasing you and cutting you up and just enjoying all the glories of being a fucking psychopathic, wielding motherfucker with a chainsaw. And this movie kind of kills that, but it's just so weird that they actually made this film. I don't know why this one was made. It's kind of a bit of a meh kind of for me. Entertaining. Some of the kills are fine, but in terms of Texas Chainsaw films, another one of those films that just zip goes over my fucking head. At number 6, we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2022 version. Now, this is the brand new film, and when it was first announced, I was after the disappointment of Texas Chainsaw 3D, I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a risk with Texas Chainsaw franchise. And then this movie gets announced, and I'm like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. You know what, every franchise deserves a second chance, third chance, or in some cases, a fourth fucking chance. At the beginning of this film, another sequel to the original, kind of ignoring everything happened between the second film and go on and so forth. This movie has some great kills, has some things that I really didn't like in terms of, I guess, jump scares, because it's your typical jump scare, which, at times it could work. It all depends on the film and the director, but with this one, it really didn't catch me that feeling of Texas Chainsaw. I mean, don't get me wrong, this film, again, a bit of an upgrade than what the previous ones I've talked about. It's a film that I probably will watch once in a blue moon. Not saying it's my favorite, not saying it's not the fucking worst, but it's a film that I really did enjoy a bit because, more blood. I mean, even though more blood doesn't really mean it's gonna be even better. In some cases, it's the opposite. But in this film, it's okay. The ending of the film kind of, that cliffhanger kind of made us think they're gonna make another sequel, which if they do, I swear, please make it better, because not only the fact, also I forgot to mention, also the fact that Leatherface was in a bus full of, I don't want to say millennials, because I'm technically a millennial, but more of the Generation Y era, and people are with their phones and recording all this. Where you're supposed to be fucking running from a fucking Texas Chainsaw Leatherface holding a chainsaw while you're fucking recording this bullshit, even though I just see why people are recording, but still fucking run. They all think it's fucking stage, which I'm like, oh, just fucking run. But a bit better than the previous films. Not the best, not the worst. Skip a movie, but just watch it just for the hell of it. Now, from going up and from the next films up are probably the only Texas Chainsaw films that I might recommend y'all to watch, because I think these are pretty okay to excellent films. So at number 5, we have Leatherface. This is the prequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 film. It is a film that was, at when it was first announced back in 2008, 2019, it kind of gave me kind of PTSD, because, like I said before, after the god awful, unbearable thing of Texas Chainsaw 3D, I kind of promised myself not to watch any more brand new Texas Chainsaw films. But with this film, with Leatherface, it actually, I actually felt like this was a good prequel to the original Texas Chainsaw film. I actually thought that this film was a bit of a worthy film in the franchise, because it actually tried to stay focused on the themes of the original and the legacy of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You know how Leatherface will eventually become Leatherface, even though when you're watching the film, you think it's one of the prisoners. It's kind of a big, fat guy. I can't remember his name. And we eventually found out it's the other inmate who later becomes Leatherface. Like I said, it's not. It's a film that I do recommend y'all to watch, because it has some great moments. So has some okay moments. Has some pretty good dialogue. Like I said, I wish it could have been a more, I don't want to say a production, but more of a what's the perfect word I can say? It's more of a good quality, and that's the perfect word I can say it, film. But it's still an okay film, and a film that I have actually on my DVD collection. It's a film that I come by once in a while and watch it and kind of like, oh, I forgot about this, I forgot about that. It's a great film. Not I'm not saying it's an amazing film. It's not the greatest film of all time, but it's a film that you want to start with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. It's a film I do recommend you all to start with the franchise if you don't want to watch, of course, the originals. At number four, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, the sequel to the original. And the thing about this film, of course, I continue with the story, but the black humor in this film is so amazing. Again, the cast comes back, and everything about this film is great. The kills are great. Um, Again, probably the only sequel that I'll probably like so much next to the original or the other films we're going to talk about in a bit. So this film, like I said, with the black comedy and the kills, the blood and all that, I think it's a really, really great film. A film that a lot of people really don't appreciate as much as the other films I'm gonna talk about it in a bit, but it's a film that I do recommend and everybody to watch. Even if you have not seen it, I do suggest y'all give it a watch. It's a great film. So yes, like I said, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 at number 4. At number 3, we have Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. This is the prequel to the remake of the 2003 Texas Chainsaw film. And I remember when the first previews of this film were being announced after seeing, of course, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, the remake, and actually getting a prequel to the film and how, of course, Tommy would later become Leatherface, and how the story began to unfold in this new world, this new adaptation of the film. It kind of gave me nightmares, not gonna lie. Of course, when you're talking about a 12, 13-year-old kid who wanted to watch the beginning, this film, the previous adaptation, your parents are kind of concerned that you're gonna go watch this film, even though I never watched it in theaters. I actually had to watch it years later, and the the kills, some it's very bloody. I'll tell you that. The kill, especially at the very end when Leatherface kills the woman in the backseat of the car, through through the chainsaw through the back of her car, kills her in half, and you just see Leatherface walking down the Texas road with the person announcing how many people he has killed from 1969 to 1974, and the most infamous killing of Texas, and so on and so forth. This film has been stuck in my mind for the longest time. Has been gone into my memory because, like I said, me being a 12, 13 year old watching this film for the first time, it gave me chills. It gave me nightmares for a while. Like I said, and for those reasons, I have it at número tres, number 3. Now to the top two. Now these two films, they can go either or depending on my mood, and some people might be shocked to have this one at number 2. And here it goes. At number 2, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 1974 original film. Which my people say you're saying blasphemy, saying that's number 2. Keep it together, guys. Like I said, it's hard for this. Like I said, this is number 1. It can go either or. But at the moment, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original, as my number 2. I mean, a groundbreaking film in 1974. Nothing has ever been done like that before. Of course, this was around the time that horror films were beginning to become even more popular with the audience. Of course, when you get an inspiration, of course, Toby Hooper get inspiration from a guy like Ed Gein, the serial killer Ed Gein, and create this monster of a being. And then I like the story of Toby Hooper when he's at a grocery shop around Christmas time, and there's a big ass line in front of him. He just starts getting he looks at the chainsaw and begins to imagine what would he do if he could have the guts to actually kill them all. And of course, going swing back and forth. This film has been synonymous in pop culture, one of the greatest, probably top 20 horror films of all time. Of course, I mean, everything about this film is great, especially at the very end. The infamous dance scene from Leatherface, of course. That was an impromptu scene because I'm forgetting his fucking name. Who plays Leatherface in the film. Bear with me, guys. Shit. Bear with me, guys. Gunnar Hansen. When Gunnar Hansen is, of course, playing Leatherface, of course, you're filming in a really, really hot environment in Texas. I think if I remember correctly, this film was I don't remember if it was in Texas. I know it was in Texas, but I don't remember where it was filmed. I think it was around the Austin area. In that time, I mean, maybe Austin it's not the hottest, but there was a point in time that it was so fucking hot. Like, can you imagine being in a suit with a mask for 12 hours? You're gonna get fucking crazy. And of course, the infamous dance trying to kill Toby Hooper as a fucking like fuck you for putting him in a fucking mask and costume, and that was that in the film. And of course, it has been parodied so much. I mean, one of the most iconic films of all time in terms of horror. Like I said, top 15, maybe top 10 horror films of all time. But for me, it's at number two. At number one, surprisingly, we have the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the 2003 version, the remake. Now, this is probably a bit of a kind of people kind of starting to feel my age. This was the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre film I actually saw, and I remember me and one of my friends from elementary, which it's a neighbor of mine, was a neighbor of mine, and she and her brother came by because guess we were trying to hang out more, and she actually brought it to the for us to see. And of course, we were kids at the time. We didn't know when the film was sits based on true events. We actually thought that this actually fucking happened. It turns out we later found out it's actually inspired by true events. So of course the Ed Gein and of course the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre film. But regardless, the thing that this film made that the 1774 version didn't make was that it felt you like you were claustrophobic, that you couldn't get out, you couldn't breathe from each moment from the film. They try to make more Leatherface more of a psychological kind of person, even though, of course, Gunner has stated in many interviews that when they wanted to do the remake of this film, he didn't feel that it was necessary. But for this film, it worked for a lot of people. It did scare the living shit out of people. I mean, like I said, me being in elementary, middle school, scaring the living shit out of me. Of course, it was gonna get fucking scary. And like I said, it's one of those films next to the original that every Halloween I always come back and watch just to relive those memories and the gore and all that, and the entire family, everything about this film. I love the living shit out of it, and that's why it ranks at number one. And that does it for this video, guys. Hope you guys really enjoyed this ranking mode. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. You guys should bang. Don't forget to follow me on my Instagram. Don't forget to follow me on my Twitter. Stay tuned for tomorrow's video where I'm gonna be ranking the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise. Now we're gonna get one of the big hitters of horror, fucking Freddy Krueger. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, I'm gonna be bringing you guys more Rankamalls in the next couple of days throughout the until Halloween day. So stay tuned for that. Like I said, I'm gonna bring you guys more videos in the future. A lot of ideas are going through my mind. So stay for the channel. The channel is a bright future. And don't forget to share these videos with your friends because, like I said, Halloween season is when people start to get more into their spooky vibes. So I would really appreciate you guys share it with your friends. Stay safe, everyone. And until next time, stay metal.